Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome to the Sacred Soul Shift series. I'm your host, Vanessa, your trusted soul navigator and energy alchemist. In this series, we'll embark on soul-stirring adventures through the realms of intuition and self-healing with women across all modalities, where ancient wisdom and modern insights intertwine. So if you're tired of the scripted routine and ready for healing and growth, my kindred spirit, this series is crafted just for you. It's time for your Sacred Soul Shift. We have Jasmine here with us this morning. Let me give you her rap sheet. She is amazing. She is an intuitive coach, a healer, a metaphysical practitioner. She specializes in hypnotherapy, NLP, energy and womb healing, Akashic healing. She is a lover of crystals and CBT-based coaching with a counseling background. How much more can you get, guys? She is amazing.
I know.
I'm just bring her in. Good morning or good afternoon.
It's wherever you are in the world. Hey.
Okay, so today you are here with us to talk about and shed your lifelong wisdom with womb and Akashic healing. Welcome once more. Before we jump in, thank you for being here. We really do appreciate your wisdom.
Absolutely.
Okay, so can we just start with you sharing a little bit of your background and your history, how you became all these things? I really love, because I'm from a spiritual background and I've gone through all the teachings and stuff, and I really love hearing the stories about how other practitioners came to be. And it is quite like a rabbit hole journey. Like I find from my own journey, all the teachers start popping into your life exactly when you need them. So I just want a little bit of your background and how you became to be all the things.
Yeah. So first and foremost, I always like to be transparent enough to say I didn't really choose this path. I think it's beautiful when teachers and spiritualists and coaches and whoever can say, I knew this is what I was here to do and I chose it. It was not that way for me. It was literally divine guidance and being nudged on the path in all the ways, even before I knew what was happening, right? And so this started when I was 18 turning 19 or 19 turning 20 or something like that. And I found out about this job in a nursing home and I said, I want a job. I should go do that. And they were training on the job to be a certified nursing assistant, get certified through the state, go through the training program, and then you could take that anywhere. Oh, I'll do that. I was 18. It seemed like decent money. And I did it for about a year. I was there a year and a half. And I just realized at about a year, I am not cut out for this. It was extremely intense. And I knew at that age, I didn't want to spend a lifetime doing such hard work. It was physically grueling. I mean, it was very rewarding, but it was a nursing home on one side, a rehab on the other side. And so we were moving patients after surgery, taking them through physical therapy, doing all the hard day-to-day things, right? And I said, I don't want to do this anymore. So about 6 months later, I just happened to be flipping through the newspaper. And at that time, they had the domestic section, which was all about anybody hiring for anything in home. And I'm going to call them and see what this is. So I called and I went on an interview, and it was a woman who was a quadriplegic. She was paralyzed from about here down. And they needed someone to come in home, 5 days a week and help with her daily care, running errands, spending time with her. I said, I could do that, So I did that, and I did aquatic therapy with her, and I did a lot of her physical workouts with her at the Catastrophic Injury Center. They had a specialized weight room, right? So we go there 5 days a week, and I see this posting on the board looking for some more help. And I said, I could do that. And I called and I got the interview and I got the job with them. And it was a similar situation. And that's just the succession of how I began to get clients and started working for myself at like 20 years old. And so I said, after a while, I had done it for a few years. I need a break because it's very emotionally intense to be in somebody's home and physically taking care of them, nurturing them, helping them get their quality of life back after some type of catastrophic injury. And I said, I need a break. I was in the gym working out one day, and this guy walks up and says, "Are you a trainer?" "No, I'm just working out. Can I have my business back?" And he said, "No, I'm not, I'm not hitting on you. Like, you really look like you know what you're doing. And I was going to offer you a job." But said, "A job?" And he said, "Yeah, you really got a handle on this." And so they offered me a job, and I started my path into personal training. And that was my segue for a while of kind of coming out of the homes, working with general public, having a mental break. And during that time, I'd also decided I wanted to go back to college or back to school. So I got into college. No idea what I really wanted to do with that. I just knew I needed to go. And the psych professor that I had was the bane of my existence. And I finally asked him one day, "Why do you pick on me? Like, why am I the person that you single out?" And he said, "I see you. I see you. I will not let you squander your potential." And he was the first person that had ever just looked at me that way, right?
That
Not
just gave
about
me
what I
chills.
could, yeah, not about what I could do for him or how I could benefit him as a person or what he needed from me, but just simply the depths of me. He saw me. And I said, "What?" He was the only person outside of my grandmother to say that to me. And so I knew then I needed to be in a similar profession. And so through the years, I got my undergrad degree, got my master's, decided I wanted to go to massage therapy school because I was still training and I wanted to understand how to help the whole person. I didn't want to just help them lose weight or, whatever. And then I went to massage therapy school. That's what really got me into the holistic path and spirituality on a different level because I was already getting there. But I got into oils and crystals, and I had a mentor that was teaching me iridology for a while. And that's when I first started hearing about the Akasha and energy healing and just all the things. And I was like a sponge soaking it up. And
Yeah.
so through the years, just every time I said it's time for a change or I need something a little different or I'm curious about that, spirit would just always align it. And I do believe that when you're ready, the teacher appears, right? And so
Yeah.
um it was just literally divine guidance. And so I'm always honest about that because I meet a lot of people that feel like, well, I'm 30 something, I'm 40 something, I'm 50 something, and I haven't figured out, I don't know what I'm here to do. And I'm like, listen, half of us are figuring it out as we go. Like,
Yeah.
it's the
Agreed.
truth. Yeah. So here I
Amazing. And
am.
it's so true that when you do get in and you do raise your hand and say, "Look, I'm ready," like you just become a sponge for everything. And there's just so
Mhm.
much to learn and you just never stop learning. It's crazy. And just when you think you've learned all you can, you realize how much you don't know. And you just feel so insignificant because there's just so much more that you can know. And you're like, wow, I
Yeah.
thought I was like really knowledgeable about that subject, and you're just like, I know nothing. Like,
That too.
cool.
And what I found extremely powerful was, I a lot of what I do is my innate spiritual gift. It's just I have this thing that I can do. I have this thing that I can, manifest or cultivate. And it's interesting that along the path, all the things that I've studied. So when I studied the Akasha, um, when I went to massage therapy school, when I decided to become a certified hypnotherapist and do NLP, and like each of those things, I was doing them before I knew what I was doing. I just knew that I could do this thing, or I knew that I heard this, or this made sense, right? So I was doing the things. And so each of the things that I would say, I'm curious, I want to learn more about that. As I would sit in the class and read the books, I'd be like, I know how to do this. This is what I was already doing.
I don't need
So
this.
it was just this great way that spirit would always use to affirm, right? Because a lot of times we need that in this journey too. Like, the thing, and then sometimes you just need that outside nudge or that outside affirmation or confirmation. Like, yeah, you're okay. This is okay. This is real. You're not crazy. This is
Yeah,
normal. you know?
I got you. Yeah. Okay, so can we talk about the moment that womb healing saved your life? I'm really curious
Oh,
about this story.
yes.
Let's jump in the deep end.
So,
And if you
trigger
could, while
warning,
you're explaining it, just what is womb healing for those that
I
are
will
unaware?
explain that too. And trigger warning, I may cry. They're happy tears. Um, but anytime I
Right,
talk
you'll probably
about the
make me cry
story,
if you cry.
yeah, no, like seriously, anytime I talk about this, I'm like, oh my God. Um, so first and foremost, what is womb healing? Most people are familiar with energy healing. And so I always start with that. Energy healing is simply the ability to help energy shift from one frequency to another, move it from one space to another, right? Because energy is always in motion and everything is energy. So when we're operating in an energetic frequency to heal, we're just saying, I need to shift this, I need to move this, I need to twist this, manipulate this, and I need for it to be this, right? Whether we're working on releasing emotional pain, physical pain, traumas, etc. Womb healing for me, as I use it on myself and on my clients, is my primary focus of the life inside of us, the womb space inside of us. And I teach that it's not only for women, it's for men as well. A lot of people teach because we as women have a literal uterus, a womb, right? So they focus on like, healing after traumatic childbirth, birth, abuse of different types, traumatic experiences. But I look at it and I say, not only do we need to heal from traumatic experiences that we know that we've experienced, right? We need to heal from things that we don't even know we went through because maybe it wasn't us that went
So
through it.
true.
Maybe it came from our mom or our dad or our grandparents or great ancestors, however far back, right? And so wound healing is about taking that energy and concentrating it right there in the life center, the gut or the womb space of your body, right? Right where your root chakra, your sacral, and your solar plexus chakras exist. That region right there, guiding and allowing the energy to cultivate and focus so that that space is cleansed and cleared and rejuvenated so that you can thrive. Um, it was important to me through the years because as I've done a lot of work on myself and with clients, I just always saw that pattern. People would have a lot of stomach pain, a lot of lower back pain, a lot of hip pain, digestive issues. And so I would say, okay, well, let's talk through this. What's happening? What's going on? And I would learn the commonalities and how it was showing up in their lives. And so that's where spirit guided me to just start focusing that attention, right? So it became pivotal for me because I'd been doing it for years on myself by this point. It was just kind of my everyday, normal spiritual hygiene routine, if you will.
Yeah.
At the end of 2019, I got really sick and I didn't really know what was happening. I just had a lot of pain in my stomach, lethargic, extremely tired all the time. By the beginning of the year, I was barely eating and just exhausted, could hardly function. I would get out of bed, do like one session, and then have to go back to bed for the rest of the day, canceling a lot of things. And if it was something that I just had to get done, like I was pushing myself with everything I had just to be able to show up, right? And so I remember a good friend of mine was pregnant at the time, and I was her doula. And I said, I don't feel good. Like something's wrong and I don't know what. We just happened to be at the park walking. And we had done like a lap, and I was used to doing 5 and 6 miles, and we'd done like a lap, which wasn't even half a mile. And I said, I'm about to fall out. Something's wrong. And I'm afraid. Like I just remember feeling fear, right? Because I couldn't figure out what it was. And I told her, I said, I just feel like I need spirit to help me hold on until I know what this is because I don't know if it's detrimental or not. And so I reached out to several people that do the type of work that I do and said, hey, I need to grab a session. Something's going on and I don't know what this is. Nobody could see anything, like nothing. And I finally said, okay, let me go to the doctor. Now, that in and of itself is a whole different story as a Black woman here in the United States. Whole different story. But unfortunately, that's my last resort, right? I didn't want to go to the doctor. So I went and they said, are you pregnant? No. Well, we're going to do an ultrasound just in case. Sure. We're going to do blood work. Okay. Nothing showed up, nothing in the blood work, everything normal, nothing on the ultrasound. I don't know, a week later, I call them back like, guys, I'm struggling. Something's wrong. And I said, well, we can't do anything here. Go to the ER. We'll pull the records and see, if we can figure this out. I go to the ER. Guys palpating my stomach, doctors palpating my stomach. I almost kneed him in the back because it was so painful and almost jumped off the table. And he says, I don't know. Maybe we should just send you to a gastrointestinal specialist, a GI specialist. And I said, yeah, I don't care. Just tell me what I need to do. This is excruciating.
Yeah.
They gave me a referral. I called the doctor. I'm literally on the phone begging them, please get me in, because they're telling me they're booked out for like 2 months. And I'm begging them, I will come any day, anytime, like on the phone in tears because I was in so much pain. They finally got me an appointment like a week later. So by this point, it had been going on for like 3 months. They finally got me an appointment like a week later. That following week, the day before the appointment, because I'd been holding on every day. I'm doing energy healing on myself, womb healing on myself. The day before the appointment, I just remember waking up and feeling like something's wrong. I called a friend of mine who was a retired nurse and I said, I need your help. I need to kind of talk through this and I need you to pinpoint me what direction I need to go because I'm lost and I'm overwhelmed and I don't feel good. Something's wrong. So I talked to her. She talked to me off and on throughout the day, trying to figure out what it was, trying to kind of clue in. And finally, I called her back, and I guess I sounded so weak. She said, stop what you're doing right now. You need to get to the emergency room. I couldn't reach my partner. He was at work. And I called another friend of mine who's a nurse. I said, are you home? She said, what's wrong? I said, I need you to come get me and take me to the ER right now. She lived about 10 minutes away. By the time she got to the door, she was trying to beat the door in because I had gotten so weak that I was crawling on my hands and knees trying to get to the door to get it open. I finally got to the door and got it open. She half drags me to her car. We get to a different emergency room. Didn't go back to the same one. We get to a different emergency room. And it's so bad by this point, I'm gasping for breath. Excuse me if this is TMI. I'm vomiting into a bag and trying to answer the questions of the lady that's trying to check me into the emergency room. They're so overcrowded, guys. They put me in an overflow room that was like a closet because they were so backed up that particular night. The doctor comes in. Okay, what's going on? Takes a history. We're going to do a CT scan and do some blood work. I don't care what you do. Just fix me at this point. And they come back. Your blood's coagulated. They waited too long to test it. We got to draw more blood. I said, okay. They drew more blood. He said, I'm going to walk this to the lab myself. We need to figure out what this is. You don't look good. He comes back about 30 minutes later, like somebody killed his cat, and the look on his face. And I was like, what happened? Wait a minute, doc, what's going on? And he says, right now, I literally am trying to figure out how you walked in here. And I said, what do you mean? He said, your appendix burst. It is so bad on the scan. This didn't just happen. It's so bad. We don't know how you're alive right now. Like you literally should have been dead on the floor. I said, what? Like it caught me so off guard and he was so grave about it. I was like, wait a minute, you're joking, wow. Right? And he's like, no, this is bad. He said, we've already called the surgeon. By this point, it was like midnight. I think we'd been there like 3 hours. He said, we've already called the surgeon and woke him up. He's going to head up here, but we can't even send you into surgery until we can get you stabilized. So we're going to admit you and pump you full of antibiotics to try to get your system to balance. And then we'll put you into emergency surgery. And I said, okay. And so anyway, they sent me into surgery a couple hours later. They said, we won't even know what we've got to do until we get you open. We don't know if we just got to cut you open or if we can do laparoscopic. We don't know anything until we get in there with some cameras and really see what's going on. And then we'll just tell you once you're awake. And I said, okay. Well, long story short, the damage was so bad. My appendix had ruptured based on the timeline and the pain that I had felt. My appendix had probably ruptured about 3 weeks prior. Almost a month before I got to that second emergency room. So a ruptured appendix is so dangerous that you can go into sepsis and die within like 12 hours. And here I was walking around an entire month,
Wow.
not knowing what it was. And people ask me, how did I make it through that? And I'm honest enough to say at the time, I didn't know what it was that I did that made the difference. And it wasn't until I was kind of, talking to my ancestral team about some things, and they said, do you really know how powerful you are? And I said, well, yeah, I mean, I think I do. What do you mean? And they took me back to that and they said, what do you think kept you alive? And as I looked back at that time, I couldn't eat. I mean, I lost about 30 pounds because I couldn't eat. I was barely drinking like a couple of tablespoons of Gatorade to like keep myself hydrated. And all I would do every morning when I got up was go into my Akashic records and do some energy healing and do some womb healing. And I knew that I had to concentrate on my stomach. And so that's all I was doing. None of my intuitiveness could pick it up. And I'm a very visual person with my intuitive. Couldn't see it, couldn't pick it up. Nobody could pick it up. And for whatever reason that was, that spirit allowed it to be that way. But yeah, so the doctors, I was in the hospital about 2 weeks after surgery. And it was funny because I became that patient on the surgery floor. So for the entirety of my stay there, people were coming to my room every day saying, can I see your pictures? Like the entire staff, because they had heard how bad it was. And they wanted to come talk to me and figure out like, how had I survived? Because it was that bad. And I'm like, prayer is a
That's
powerful thing.
crazy. How did they
So,
not pick it up at the first hospital?
well, the thing is they didn't, and that's why I said that's like a whole other story. And that was one of the reasons I didn't want to go to the doctor. Here in the US, it's a really huge issue that we deal with, that as women of color, we are often diminished in what we feel. So there was a study, excuse me, I think in 2017, I forgot what university, but there is still a lot of doctors to this day that feel like Black people don't feel the same type of pain that other people do, or that we don't know our own level of pain. And so that's a prejudice that we deal with. And so you go to the doctor, you tell them you don't feel good, and a lot of times they just dismiss it. They think you don't know what you're talking about. They think you're over exaggerating. And so that was one of the reasons I just didn't want to go. I've had that happen over and over where they just don't listen. And so unfortunately, when I went, I had all the markings. I didn't know it at the time. I had all the markings of a ruptured appendix. And unfortunately, they just didn't do what they needed to do. They should have run a CAT scan the first time I went to the doctor's office. They should have sent me for that. And then when I went to the ER the first time, they should have done the test then. And so both opportunities were a missed opportunity for them to save my life at that juncture, right? And so, like I said, I didn't know what I was doing at the time was literally saving my life. I just knew I didn't feel good. Something was wrong. And until I knew what it was, I had to do everything that I literally could to sustain myself. And so I used every ounce of energy that I had every day. Like, let me sip this little
That's
piece of
crazy.
Gatorade. I gotta keep going. And that's what I did.
So I think that there's two big lessons there. Number one, listen to your body. You always know if there's something wrong, even if 10 doctors tell you that they don't know what's wrong with you or there's nothing wrong. You
Absolutely.
intuitively always know that there's something wrong, even if it's just coming on. Just listen to that little voice or that little inkling that there is something wrong, because obviously your body's telling you this for a reason.
Absolutely. And that
And
became
the
a big
second,
part of my message after it happened. I just really started reminding people, no matter what it is, whether it's a health scare or whatever the situation, you have to advocate for yourself. You
oh yeah,
have to tune into that little voice, that God, Goddess, Source, Spirit, whatever it is that you believe in, and you have to trust. No holds barred, hands down. You have to trust, because sometimes that will be the difference between life and death for you.
mm-hmm. And the second is just the power of energy healing. Like, I know there's a lot of skepticism about it. I've been doing it for 9.5 years, I think now.
Yeah.
And even when you you can't see anything happening, you can't feel things happening sometimes, but just knowing and just surrendering to the fact that it is working and that stuff is shifting, and just to keep going with it because it is, it's a
Exactly.
benefit always. That
Exactly.
powerful story, 4 weeks of energy healing when you were in such pain, like you could have just given up and said it's not working, but you kept going. That's amazing.
Yeah. And it's people always ask me, if I didn't choose this path, why do I do what I do now? And that's really it, because I can look back at the moments where I wanted to give up. I remember being in so much pain and feeling so weak and so exhausted, but literally knowing, like, I was bargaining with spirit, like, listen, I can't die yet. I got too much stuff here to do. I got stuff that I need to be here to experience. It's not my time yet. Keep me here, but that's part of why I love doing what I do, because if I can help somebody else to tap into that courage for themselves, to keep fighting through whatever the moment is that they're experiencing. If you can keep breathing, if you can keep going, you will get from this moment to the next moment. And eventually it's going to break and you're going to feel that relief and it's going to get better. And we all need that
That's
reminder.
amazing. We do. And you're living proof that, if you keep
I
persisting at
am.
something, it works. It's
Yes,
amazing.
I
That
am.
story is insane.
Yeah.
Well, we're all so happy that you're here today.
Thank you. It was
Crazy.
not time yet. I was like, I
It's
am
not my
only
time.
40 years old. I got stuff to do. Yeah.
How long ago was that now?
It was actually 2 years ago last month. So it was February of 2020. And that was the crazy thing. Like, that happened. And I think 2, 3 weeks after I got out of the hospital, we were going into shutdown and the pandemic was hitting full swing. So I was like, I left the hospital with a walker and the little porty potty thing that
Yeah.
sits beside your bed. And I'm like, and now I got a quarantine. Like, I couldn't even go home by myself almost a month because I was so weak that I couldn't be by myself.
Wow.
And so that's how I started the pandemic too, was with the insanity of that.
At least you had a reason to stay home. Like,
Yeah.
you weren't wanting to
Yeah.
go out.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
the ladies that are on live and are going to watch the replay, what kind of advice or direction can you give them in terms of energy healing on themselves and doing some womb healing? Because obviously, womb healing is not just about fertility and that sort of thing. You're living proof that that area, the sacral chakra, is obviously the controlling base for a lot more in our bodies, not just organs, but also like creativity, and it's our passion area, right? So, what kind of advice or I guess a little class on how they can do and implement kind of womb healing on themselves?
Yeah. So I like to teach it from the perspective that, yes, it does involve the energy healing, but it's also very much a mindset space as well, right? And that's why I think it has to be available to us all. It's not just about, oh, you want to have a baby? Okay, we can heal your womb space. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it can be so much more if we allow it to be, if that makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is about really tuning into the center of who you are and embracing all of that so that you can be at your most powerful, most purposeful place of existence for yourself. That being said, one of the easiest ways is to start journaling. When I started years and years ago, I thought that I knew what I wanted to work on and fix, and I was just so off base. I mean, I needed that too, but there was so much more, right? And so one of the
Yep.
first things that I always suggest, whether you're gonna start um, doing it on yourself or whether you're gonna work with a practitioner, is to get a journal and just start free writing and brain dumping, because inevitably what you think you want to work on, yes, may in fact be something, but there's a lot more behind that that's going to come up as you dive into that space, right? And
And
you're going to
everything's
unearth
still connected anyway.
everything's still
If you heal
connected,
one
right?
thing, it's going to heal something else.
Exactly. But the thing is, with the journaling, I like for people to have an honest expectation, right? Because they think, well, I just want to do it because I want to meet my life partner, or because I deal with some loneliness or some insecurities. Well, that's great. We can work on that. But there's going to be a lot more. Are you really ready for what may come up? And they say, yeah, I'm ready. Girl, let's do it, Jasmine. Let's do it. And I'm like, slow your horses.
But
we're
are
gonna
you
we're
ready?
gonna we're gonna take this slow because are you really ready? And inevitably, when we get into that first or that second session, they're like, "Oh my God, I was not ready for this." And I'm like, "I know." There's no way that you can completely prepare yourself, right? Because there's so much in these layers that you've been holding on to for decades that you don't even know sometimes. And
And
again,
you can always
sometimes
go
it's not
deeper.
even yours. Yeah. And again, sometimes it's not even yours. Sometimes it's like 10 generations back and it's just filtered through, right? So the journaling is the first step because it gives you an eye opener of some things as you free write, as you brain dump, gives you an eye opener of, oh, okay, well, that might be hiding back there too. Can't fully prepare, but at least an idea. The second thing is be honest with yourself of what your true capacity is. I I do this work on myself because I have the stamina for it. And that's not something that I brag on. It's taken me decades to cultivate that, but it's also part of my divine makeup, right? But I also work with a lot of healers that don't. And that doesn't take anything away from their gifts and how they serve their clients. But we're all made slightly different. And so you have to be honest with yourself of, is this something that I am truly prepared to dig into by myself? Because what I don't want to happen is for somebody getting there digging around and start unearthing trauma that they just do not have coping skills for, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a judgment of courage. It takes strength to acknowledge where we need help. There are things that I don't do by myself, even as gifted as I am. I mean, that's truth, right? So being aware of what your capacity is, and is this something that you can truly tackle by yourself? Or is this something that you may need to call in somebody to give you some support and help with? Because none of us are an island. We all need help.
And I
Um,
think too, setting the intention. Intention is so important, and just having the intention, obviously, to heal what you have the capability of healing, and to not go
Absolutely.
deeper when you're not ready. It's
Absolutely.
all about intention, guys, and just your subconscious always knows what you're prepared to
Very
uncover
true.
and what it's not ready to.
Very
So
true.
if once you
That's
set
actually
the
the third
intention,
step.
That's for me.
You got this, girl. You got this. No, this that's actually the third step is creating boundaries, right?
Yeah.
Because like I said, I can do the energy and the womb healing on myself. I have the stamina for that. That's in my makeup. There are other things that I don't do by myself because I know I need a little bit of support with this one. This one feels big for me and I want to have somebody holding my hand, right? It doesn't matter how much you know, how much you think you know, how much you've learned. It is always okay to ask for help and get support. And so that third thing is making sure that you have appropriate boundaries of where, as you prepare, where are you willing to work on this for yourself? What does that look like? What does that feel like for you? How are you going to support that? And then, okay, I'm bumping this boundary. That's my safety line. Past this point is where I bring in someone else to help me facilitate this, right? Knowing and trusting yourself, like you said, that your body, your psyche is going to give you that warning. Ding, 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 ding. Danger, danger. Stop. Right. And being able to trust that and listen to that, okay, I've done what I need to do for now. Let me leave this here and rest. Let the healing integrate. Let it take place for a while. Or this is my boundary of what I can do. And out here is the deep ocean where I need a life vest and I need some other people to help make sure that I stay safe.
It's really important too. I just want to reiterate that all the people on here are not energy healers. You don't have to be an energy healer to heal yourself, guys. It's
Absolutely.
intention. We're all energetic beings. So even if you just do the simple act of placing your hands where you want the healing and intentionally asking, for that divine energy to come through you into that area for the purpose of healing, it's going to happen. It might not be as strong as if going to see a practitioner, but you're still going to get that healing energy come through you. So you don't have to know all the things. You don't have to be trained in any kind of modality. You just have to have the intention of the healing to come through you, because it is possible.
You as an individual person, all of us, right, as individual people, I like to think of it, we're all dialed into spirit. We're all spirit in these little human bodies, right? So we're always connected, always tuned in, always a part of the collective. And you have the same power that I have. We all have certain abilities. It's just innately a part of spirit makeup. It's just that one person on a scale of 1 to 100 may be at a 20, and another person may be at a 50, and another person may be at a 99 in the intensity of that frequency. So, and none is better than the other, because one person may be stronger in something else. It's just what you need help with, you come to me. What I need help with, I come to you. What they need help with, they go. Like, I think that's the beauty and the reciprocal energy of spirit, just always reminding us, like, okay, you need each other, right? Because if we could all do all the things, we'd probably be out there on like personal yachts, individual islands, out there dialing the loneliness, you know what I mean? So I think it's just that beautiful built-in reminder that we need each other.
Yep. And I also want to touch into, you're also an Akashic healer. You do Akashic work. Can you give a rundown of the Akashic records, a bit of information about what they are and how you use them, for the people that aren't, up with all the Akashic knowledge?
Sure. So my journey was interesting. Before I ever had my first Akashic reading, I'd heard about it for a while and kind of thought, oh, that's interesting, and but never looked into it. And so a friend of mine got a reading and said, oh, Jasmine, you got to check this lady out. And I said, okay. And so I got a reading, and part of that reading, she told me that I used to be a white man from Scotland. And I was like, really? I can feel that. Like, it just, and then I think at one point in life, in a different life, I was like an Asian guy, and so it was just really cool to have somebody confirming a lot of things that I had felt and seen in spirit. So it piques my curiosity more. And I said, I'll keep looking at this. And I had several people that were promoting their classes and their trainings. And for me, it was really important to learn the practice from someone that it was indigenous for, or that was indigenous to their culture. And so my teacher was Indian and Sikh. And she's been on my podcast several times. And so I explained to her, I said, this is how I explain the Akasha to people. And she was like, tell me. And I said, I tell them that it's like the throne room. So a lot of my clientele is Christian, right? Here in the US, that's really popular. And I explain it to them. It's like the throne room of heaven, where you go and you enter into that sacred space to be with God, to give your prayers, to get answers, to get healing. And she was like, oh, I love that. And I said, I know, right? But another descriptive of it is that ethereal space between spirit and between earth, like this middle layer that constantly exists and always is, always was, always will be, right? In that layer, or in that realm, are file rooms. And so every being, every spirit has its own individual file room where you can go, and that's your sacred place to access all the things that exist concerning you, whether you believe in past lives, alternate lives, parallel lives, whatever. God, Goddess, source, ancestors, angels, spirit beings, whatever you believe, you can access it anywhere. But this particular space is just your sacred space where nobody else can be without your invitation. And you can always go to be protected and have extra layers and boundaries and really do the healing work that you want to do. But it's also where your books of life exist, right? And so you have what you call the record keepers that keep those books, like your file room, your library. And at any point in time, you can go into that space with them, ask them to open your record books. That's the place where you can see, well, how come I've been doing this same repetitive pattern or falling into this same habit forever, it seems like? Well, they can help you pinpoint and go back to, where did that start? Was it a soul vow? Was it a soul contract? Was it an agreement that you made? Was it an agreement made on your behalf without your knowledge, right? Was it something that you agreed to before you came into this body, or something that you agreed to once you were already here based on circumstances? Is it yours? Is it generational? Is it past life trauma? That's the secret, sacred, safe, protected space where anything goes for you to heal, right? I love it, um, because it before I took the class, I was already doing the work. And it was so interesting as we were going through and studying that I was like, oh, this feels like home. Like everything we were doing felt so familiar, like deja vu, right? And so I knew that my soul had already been there and seen that moment coming and said, this is what you need, and kind of guided me to connect with her and to build that friendship and then take this training from her. Um, During the process, we had to do 40 days sadhana, and it was intense because, you're talking about 40 days of like this personal healing, deep level journey. It's like, oh my God, I'm tired. I don't know if I'm ready for this, but
That's
you
a
keep
long
going.
time.
It's a long time, but you keep going and you get to this breakthrough point, and it's like your soul just takes this breath, right? And so I personally love the Akasha. It's a great way for my clients that are visual to be able to get into this space with me and actively participate. You have some people that they just want to lay there and rest and let you facilitate the work, and that's great. And then you have clients that are like, I see this, and what about this? And they want to, be more proactive, and that's great. And so it's one of the modalities that I love to use for clients that are really visual, really creative, because I can ask them, okay, I want you to walk into your personal room and invite me in. I'm going to tell you what I see. And I'll start describing to them what I see. And they're like, oh my God. Like one lady's, hers was a train station. And I described it and she was like, there's no way you should know this. And I'm like, but I do. And so it's always, it's a really fun expression of spirit. It translates well across religious beliefs and spiritual beliefs for most people, which is why I love it as well. And I teach my clients that whether you're going in there for yourself or with me, this is a space that you get to do whatever you need to do. Like this is your own personal sanctuary. It can look like whatever you need it to look like. It can feel like whatever you need it to feel like, and it can be anywhere. So my personal Akasha is always with me when I'm in the bathroom, when I'm in the shower, when I'm driving, when I'm outside. Doesn't matter. It's always there, right? And it's a great space for people that feel like they're newbies or just beginning in their spiritual journey. And they're a little nervous. Like, I don't know. I don't want to get in there and mess anything up. I don't want to curse myself. And I'm like, this is the perfect space for you to play in then, because you get to set the boundaries. You get to determine what it looks like in the ways that make sense for you. And this is your sacred space where there's no mistake that you can make, like literally anything else. So that gives a lot of people comfort. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, I can try this. I'm going
And
to dip my toe in that ring.
how do you take them into the Akashic records? Is it like a guided meditation, or do you journey with them, or how does
It
it work?
honestly depends. For my clients that are not as visual, so it's completely normal if somebody asks you to visualize and you can't see anything.
Yeah,
Everybody's,
that's me. I'm not very visual.
yeah,
I see
everybody's
colors and I feel
body and
things
things are
more.
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for my clients that say, yeah, I don't see anything, just blackness, I don't know. I say, you know what? Just relax and just lay there. I'm going to talk you through it. And I ask them for permission to enter their records, open their books. I describe to them what I'm seeing. And if at some point they're able to hold that visual, great. And if not, they just continue to be with me while I tell them what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, and I just walk them through the whole process. For my clients that are more visual or do have more of a creative flair, I ask them to come into the space with me, tell me what they're seeing. I tell them what I'm seeing, and I still do I walk them through every step of the way. Now, how I get them into that space again depends on them. If they're easier to be induced, I may do some quick hypnotherapy just to get them into a relaxed state. If they're not, I may just take them through some basic meditations to just at least help them relax and get them into a space where they feel safe. And once they feel that, then, like I said, I can go into the room and just walk them through it, describe it, talk to them.
Yeah.
And anything goes. I've had people come to me, I'm struggling with this and I don't know where it started. And I've been able to tell a woman where it started. It was the craziest thing. I think she was in Canada. It was the craziest thing. She was in her 40s, but what I saw was she was like 4 years old on a ship coming from a different country. And I started describing it, and she'd almost fallen overboard. And she was able to tell me exactly what I was talking about and what had happened. And that was the moment that this thing that had kind of
The pattern
followed her
started.
through.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she was like, what? I would have never connected that's so that's the power of whether you're doing energy, womb, akasha, whatever intuitive or spiritual gifts or processes you're using. I just always like to remind people there's no right or wrong way. It's literally just about
Doing
experimenting.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Experimenting
You're
and
gonna do the work.
just figure out what makes sense and do it.
Yeah. Amazing.
So if you're open, I can walk. I don't know what type of time we have, but I can walk you through what a quick
Yeah.
intro
I don't
into
really
that
have a
would
time
look like,
frame.
just to give them some idea.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I think you were about to ask another question though. So did you want to ask me
That's
that?
right.
And
Do that first.
okay. So just this can be kind of a quick example if somebody wanted to kind of practice on themselves and see how far they could get with it
Cool.
at home. So if you want to just close your eyes and visualize with me, and we'll do just a quick visualization to get into that space. And I want you to think of the place that makes the most sense for you, that feels sacred and safe and secure and protected. You can be in the middle of a field, middle of the ocean, Antarctica, the beach, your closet, wherever you feel safe. And just breathing in and out at your own pace, whatever makes sense for your body. And every time you inhale, I want you to imagine that you're just inhaling the peace of spirit, the ease of spirit. And every time you exhale, I want you to imagine that you're just releasing anything it's time to let go of. Anything that doesn't belong to you or that isn't serving your best or safest or highest good. Breathing in and out and continuing to relax. And as you imagine yourself in your safe space, maybe you hear some birds chirping, see exotic animals, or even see people that you know. If you look off into the distance to your right, I want you to see a door. It can be any color that you want, any size, any shape. But seeing this door up ahead, immediately knowing that it's safe, you want to go investigate. You take one step and then another. And as you see this door, you keep your eye on it, walking a little bit closer, curiosity peeking. Taking another step and another. Do you need to go down a few steps or even up a few steps to get to it? Walking a little closer, closer and closer. And before you know it, you're only 5 feet away, 4 feet away, 3 feet away, 2 feet away. Now you're right in front of this door. You can't help yourself. Curiosity is taking over. You got to twist the knob and see what's on the other side of this door. And as you open it, just remembering that you are completely safe and protected wherever this door leads you. On the other side of it is your personal Akasha room. What does it look like for you? Is it a library or even a train station? Is it an amusement park? Is it your bedroom, your personal office? Maybe it's your kitchen. What does this space look like for you? As you tiptoe in and kind of peek your head around, see what all is in this space. You see this gorgeous table. Is it brick? Is it stone? Is it marble? Is it wood? What does it look like for you? You walk up to the table and you see these books. They all have your name on it. So this is a perfect opportunity. If you believe in any god, goddess, or deity energies, any ancestors or angelic energies, archangels, this is a perfect opportunity to invite them into this safe space with you. You can choose a trusted record keeper for yourself that will help you manage your books and access them whenever you need. And once you've chosen that person, which book do you want to start with? You can let them open up any book that you choose, even more than one book, and turn it to any page that you want to see. Maybe you see words like a story or a fairy tale. Maybe you see pictures. Maybe you see some blank pages that you want to write some new truths on for yourself. Trust that you can see and know whatever it is that you need to see and know at this appointed time in this safe space for yourself. For the purpose of this moment, I want you to ask for one truth that you need to know to bring back with you from this space. It doesn't have to be anything in particular, just whatever it is that you want to know, one truth that will help you, that can guide you, that can nurture you or help you to heal. And trust your ancestors, your team, your record keeper to help you get to just the right page to learn what you need to know. Once you've gotten that one truth, thank them for being in this space with you. Thank them for being available, for protecting you, for working for your best good, helping you cultivate this sacred space of healing for yourself. Ask them to close your books and put them up. Maybe even you take a quick moment to give some hugs and say goodbye until next time. And when you're ready, you can exit out of your room and close the door and walk back into whatever safe place that you were already existing in. And as you walk away from the door, every step that you take brings you further, further away from that space and closer, closer back here into the right now, right here, present time and moment, present day and space, in this dimension and plane of existence. Remembering that truth that they whispered to you and helped you to know, and trusting that it will do whatever you need for it to do. And when you get back to your safe space, I want you to take a seat and relax, allowing your body to fully integrate right here, right now, in this moment. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. How do you feel?
That was fun. It was beautiful.
Well, that's a little simple one. The first session, I don't go too deep just because you need to let a person get comfortable. So you go
Yeah.
at a slower pace. But that's an easy exercise that I do. And it's typically longer than that, maybe 45 minutes or so. But that's the first type that I do just to get them comfortable, kind of help them figure out what to expect. And then from there, the gloves come off and we're in there doing all kind of stuff, working on all kind of stuff over time. Yeah. And the
That's
same thing if
beautiful.
they're, yeah. And the same thing if they want to practice it at home. That's a simple, quick thing that they can do. Focus on one thing, get that one thing, use that, integrate that, work with that. And then the more you do it, if you're going to do it by yourself, do it a little bit longer and then a little bit longer and then a little bit longer until you can do a whole session for yourself.
And someone just says, very relaxing. I'd love to know your messages, guys. Write it into the world. What beautiful
Yes.
messages if you did that exercise. And I'll also put a timestamp on that so people can come back and do it a few times. I'm guessing the more you
Absolutely.
do it, the easier it becomes, right?
Yeah, and here's the thing, even if you don't feel like you're a visual person, so if you go into this space and you don't see anything, that's okay. You can focus on if you hear anything. Do
Mm-hmm.
you feel sensations in your body? Do you feel energy moving around you or through your body? Density, feeling lighter, warmth versus cool, right? Do you feel a breeze? Do you know something that you didn't feel like you knew before? Those are all the ways that spirit may be creating with you. So if you are not as visual, don't beat yourself up, don't get hung up on that. Figure out the way that your body communicates with you and then use that to your advantage.
Yeah, for sure. My message was do the work. Saw that one coming.
Yeah. Yeah. My angels are smart asses. So they randomly is like get it together, Missy.
They know.
They know. They know. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for doing that. That was beautiful. And I guess it's going to
Absolutely.
be value for these guys to be able to do that, again and again. I'm going to
Yeah.
come back and do it again.
Please do. And
Um,
I would love to hear their feedback. I'd love for you guys, if you're catching it live or the replay, tell us what that thing was for you. And then do it again a few days later or a week later. And then tell us if
yeah,
you got something different. Because, yeah, it's like a muscle. The more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it and the easier it gets.
yeah. And come back and do it when you are feeling like stuck or you're struggling with something, you can't make a decision. This kind of exercise is perfect for that because it just gives you that one thing, and it might not be
Yeah.
what you're expecting, but it's going to help you move forward.
Yeah, this is really good if you deal with like analysis paralysis, if you get stuck with perfectionism. This is a really good way to help reset yourself pretty quickly because you could do this in like 10 to 15 minutes, 20 minutes on a lunch break, go out to your car, or if you're at home and the kids are in school, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
This is something really easy that you can do. Or if you've got some major decisions that you got to make and you're just feeling overwhelmed, just go into your sacred place and ask spirit, what's the one thing I need to know right now? What's just the one thing?
Yeah,
Help me cut out all the chatter. What's the one? And sometimes being able to zone in on that one thing can give you clarity on all the other things. Trust yourself, whether it's auditory that you hear, whether it's feeling, whether I'm more kinesthetic. So anything that I may hear or see, I still am going to feel it, right? So trust that your body knows the way, your psyche, your spirit knows the way to tell you what you need to know. And muscle testing, if you guys are familiar with muscle testing, that's a good thing that you can pair with this type of work. If you're feeling a little confused or not quite sure what the answer is that you're getting, do some muscle testing to get that firm yes or no so that your body can give you that as well.
yeah. And the more that you work with this, not just with the Akashic, but the more you work with your guides and learn how to interpret their messages,
Absolutely.
they send you messages the way that you can receive them and understand them. So obviously you're
Absolutely.
getting the messages the way that they want you to be able to understand. So the more that you do it and the more that you work out a way to understand and interpret the messages, the easier it will be for you to interpret them in the future.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I also am the same as you, Jess. I see energy as light and colors, and that's how I do a lot of my healing work, is working with light and
Yeah.
colors. But I feel things, so I always work with the intention of the energy, because I'm not so visual. It's always about intention and feeling the light and the color. So
Absolutely.
definitely still
Don't,
receiving messages.
yeah, don't doubt yourself, guys. I mean, this is so personal, right? It looks different for every single one of us. And so trust the process and know that you have the wisdom that you need. I tell my clients all the time, I don't heal you, you heal you. I just
Yeah.
act as a co-pilot to kind of hold your hand and walk through the process with you. I may help you get some guidance that you weren't sure about, but you do the work. You're the power, right? And so know that you're the power.
All right, Jasmine, what is your message for the world? What do you want to share with us?
Ah, so much to tell. um, I would say that my message is love thyself. I think that love
Mm-hmm.
is one of my superpowers, right? And most often, 90% of my clients that come to me, the other 10%, it may be something different, but 90% of my clients that come to me, no matter what they come to me for, relationship issues, financial issues, career changes, whatever, there's always something that got them knocked off track and feeling weak or wounded within their self-love, their ability to love self, that self-confidence, that self-trust, that self-imagery, all of that, right? And so love thyself. Whatever you are experiencing right now, the more you can tune into your own personal frequency of love, it gives you the confidence to fight back, to stand up tall, to be that warrior for yourself, to stand up for other people, to be a great mom, great wife, great husband, great sister, great daughter, great boss, great employee, all the roles that we occupy, right? All of those things are a domino effect from this right here. Love thyself, and all of that will start to fall in line.
I love that. My whole business from the very first day I started, not having any clue of what I was doing, was always
Yeah.
centered around self-love. And I started my business just with self-love Wednesdays. Every Wednesday I would post about a self-love activity I was doing, and that just, it's expanded and it's just grown, and just everything is connected to that disconnect we find ourselves in, and coming back to that connection with ourselves.
I feel like
I
self-love is
love
my
it.
superpower because everybody says, like strangers on the street will say, you just feel so safe. And I'm like, thank you. But it's just that love that I'm constantly cultivating for me. And then it radiates out for other people to feel it. You know what I mean? So that's my self-expression. We need that love, that gentleness to remind us that it's okay to feel crazy and out of sorts and wounded and confused, not have all the answers. I think
Mm-hmm.
we all need those reminders every day. Like, we're human, y'all. We might be all these powerful spiritual beings, but we're still in these human bodies. So it's
Yeah,
okay to be messy.
so true. And that's what separates us from spirit, right? We're human. We make mistakes. We need healing. We go through trauma. All these things. That's what makes us human. So there's nothing wrong with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I just want to ask if anyone has any questions, just as we're wrapping it up, for Jasmine. I'm sure she'll be happy to answer anything
Yeah,
related to what we've
absolutely.
just covered. Pop your questions in now.
Absolutely.
Love conquers all it does. Is there any final words of wisdom
So
you'd like
true.
to share before we jump off?
I would say, remember, there's no right or wrong way to live this life. We
Mm-hmm.
are all figuring it out as we go, as we navigate it, as we experience it, right? And, a lot of people say to me, "Well, you've got it good. You know all this stuff already. You've been in this for a long time." And I'm like, "Child, I wish I knew it all." Like, to the day we die, I think we're still learning and growing and experimenting. And so that's what I want to leave you with. Just embrace the journey, right? Be
Mhm.
messy. Healing is beautiful and it's powerful. And though there are many moments where it may feel overwhelming and you may cry, you may feel defeated, there's still also going to be plenty of moments where you're laughing and joyful and ecstatic, right? And so embrace the messiness of the journey. And
Love
again,
that.
just love thyself. Yeah.
And a lot of people are so afraid of healing. I think because they have to dive into that pain and that, release it. But it's technically only 60 to 90 seconds of shit
Mm-hmm.
for a lifetime of happiness.
Mm-hmm. If you can feel, I always tell people I live my life by moments. Everything is a moment. It may feel like a long moment, but it's just a moment. And if you can breathe through it and keep going, that moment's going to end. You're going to be in the next moment. And then you look up and realize I made it through that. I thought I was going to die. Like I thought I was just going to give up the ghost, but I made it through that moment. And so, right. And so again, embrace the messiness, guys, because it gets real ugly out there in these healing streets
Yeah.
sometimes. But if you can keep breathing and keep embracing the moments, you're gonna get exactly where you want to be. How boring would life be? That's why I said we don't always have it together because we'd all be on private yachts and islands and then bored and lonely,
Yeah, it
right?
was just
So
super boring.
yeah, we need each other.
I just want to say we didn't coordinate these backgrounds, and I love how we have matching backgrounds right now.
We did not. We did not. Yeah. Yeah.
As soon as I saw it this morning, I'm like, oh my God, that's my sister. I love this.
And what's
And
so
I
funny,
actually put this up
I was
yesterday.
downstairs and I couldn't get my setup to work. And I was like, what's happening? You couldn't hear me. I couldn't hear you. So I said, let me run back upstairs to my office. And here I am. And it worked. As soon as I came up here and jumped in. So this is just
Oh,
where I
man.
was supposed to be for this.
Oh, that's so good. Okay, there's no questions coming through. The Mandala Girls. We are the Mandala Girls. It's so weird because I literally just put it up last night. It wasn't there before.
Oh, yeah, I've got
Love
like
it.
3 different ones, but this one's my fave. I've got one on that wall that's actually a butterfly, and then I've got one similar to this that's like a deeper plum purple and a turquoise blue, which are my favorite
Nice.
colors. So yeah, and this is a great example of energy healing, guys. Because you were
Mhm.
asking about different ways. Like I get these and I pray over them and I charge them up with my energy and then I just let them work for me. Right. So this is another example of how energy healing and womb healing can be all around. It's always working for our benefit.
Beautiful. I love
Yeah.
it. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your wisdom with us today, Jasmine. It's been beautiful, and I'm sure all the ladies appreciated your little Akashic meditation. I will timestamp that so they can come back to it and watch it over and over 1,000 times. Okay,
Absolutely.
you
And if you
can.
have questions, pop them in the replay for me. Thank you so much for letting me be your inaugural guest.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, dear souls, for joining me on this sacred journey. If you enjoyed this soul nourishing experience, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon so you can stay connected and never miss a moment of our soulful exploration. Let's keep this transformative conversation going in the comments below. Share your insights, your dreams, and the magical moments you encounter. This is a community of like-minded souls, and your voice matters. If you're feeling called to dive even deeper into the realms of intuition and soulful living, remember that I'm here for you. Reach out to me through the links in the description. Let's embark on a personalized adventure to help you create the life of your dreams. This is Vanessa signing off from the Sacred Soul Shift series. Stay enchanted and keep shining bright.